Hey everyone, welcome to the episode 6 of Gen 80 Talks, and today we're going to be talking about self-love, self-care, what to do to avoid getting neglected by yourself and just not taking care of yourself, and many other things, right?
Yep, I'm looking forward to it because I need to be able to practice what we preach.
Exactly. So stay tuned.
Hey everyone, welcome to Gen 80 Talks with myself, Hatz, and my wonderful co-host, Anahi.
Hi, thank you. In this podcast, we're going to be tackling different topics that have to do with life, success, failures, and everything in between. We're going to be talking about relationships, love, family, careers, etc., and all the challenges that we face in this life that we're living. So stay tuned, subscribe, and join the conversation.
Yeah, so sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode.
So, self-care, self-love, self-neglect, self-betrayal, all the things that we're talking today. I like this. I miss you, friend.
Yeah, well, isolation.
We are being very, very responsible humans. I'm proud of us, even though it sucks because I really miss your hugs. You give really good hugs, by the way.
Thank
Girls out there, Hattie gives really good hugs.
Thank you. And I sing Spice Girl songs, apparently.
And he can serenade you with all the great hits of the Spice Girls. There you go.
Yeah.
Hattie, at least a girlfriend would have to come from. It has to come from this show.
Yeah, moving on swiftly. Let's just move on swiftly.
We have been talking a lot from the beginning of the podcast about self-worth, about self-love, about self-awareness, how to know what you need and how to express those things. But many times what happens is that we are expecting others to give us what we don't give ourselves. And when it comes to relationships, we tend to seek in others what we don't give to ourselves. And then we tend to model the behavior that we want from others to them, expecting to get that in return. But in reality, we tend to get more of what we are missing. So for example, if I tend to be the person that wants to be very good and very nice to everyone so they will love me, and I abandon myself in me loving you, hoping that you are going to abandon you to love me, what tends to happen is that I'm going to end up empty and you're going to abandon me to love yourself. So this is why it's so important that as we are committing to creating good relationships, both romantic and, family, with our parents, with everything, we also commit to giving to ourselves abundance.
That's really important what you say, because when you are too focused on the other person in the relationship or any other person in any relationship, and you forget about yourself for so long, at some point you're going to want to think about yourself, and then in order to do that, you can't think about the other person. So, and that's how conflicts and sort of like problems start appearing, is because you say, okay, I'm not interested in you anymore. I need to worry about myself for now. And then the other person's like, but no, I need that, and it just starts causing conflicts. Yeah.
But I think that it doesn't have to be fully. I think that in a mature relationship, hopefully we'll be able to say, hey, I'm realizing that I've been losing myself in this relationship, and I'm putting a big burden on you for you to fill me up, when in reality, I need to love myself more. So what I'm going to do is X, Y, Z, and I want you to know that I still love you and I still value you. However, I need to do this for myself. And obviously not everybody reacts the same way. And this is why it's so important that we have awareness about the person that we are with, but also what we need. I have a script that I give my clients to give or to read or to use with their partners and the closest people in their life when they're beginning to work with me, because one thing that we do is that we shift our focus a lot on self-care, because self-care is self-love in action. So we start to do a lot of that, and I tell them, if you have been a person that tends to overgive, overcommit, empty yourself onto others, use this script to start shifting the conversation. And basically, it's an apology script, and it says, I'm sorry, whomever, because up until now, I have informed you that the way that I show up in this relationship was by abandoning myself to love you, and now that's going to change. And I want you to know that this change has nothing to do with you, but with a process that I'm starting with myself, where I'm going to prioritize myself more. And so in the next week, you're going to see changes. Don't take it personal. I love you, blah, blah, blah. And most of the time, the response that my clients get is unreal. Their partners and their friends and their family are really happy because you are freeing them from the burden of having to be needy all the time for you to love them, you know? Because I think it's a dual thing. We want to be always the goody goodies, and then we disable them from being empowered and strong in the relationship.
It's powerful. I mean, the key things that I find is that, and obviously for myself going through the process, the healing process I'm going through because of my, experiences is I neglected myself a lot. For the 2 years I was in, well, let's say the total of 2 years I was in my relationship, it was all about the other person in the relationship. It was never about me. I was let's say, selfless. And that gets draining, when the other person doesn't reciprocate, after a while it gets draining. And I reached breaking point myself. And then I started feeling sorry for myself after I sort of, it all ended. And I wasn't doing anything about it. I was just, it was just spiraling out of control. Only recently have I started looking after myself, more, and starting, I'm eating better now. I'm not eating like junk food as I was before. I'm training more often. They're bite-sized training sessions, but they're regular. And my mind has started to sort of follow some sort of routine, and I'm starting to think about, the future, let's say, what I need to do to get better. And I'm starting to feel better. And my friends are noticing it. My family are noticing it. Hopefully you're noticing it. The people out there.
I did. I thought you looked really good.
Thank you. So yeah, all I need now is a beach. I need a beach so I can just chill on the beach.
Yeah, if only. I think that it's really important that we understand that we cannot give to others from our lacking. We can only give from our overflow. And the only way to get an overflow is that if we are so committed to ourselves, so committed to loving ourselves, so committed to nourishing ourselves, that then we are operating at our absolute best. We are our best self, and from then, obviously, we can give the best to others.
100%, I agree.
I see it a lot with mothers when they have children, and especially if their careers take a step back, which is something that happens here very common in Qatar, when the spouses come together, and sometimes the husband will be the one working and the wife stays home. Then they tend to turn the whole identity and their whole lives around the children. And then when the children start to become more independent, a lot of the times the mothers get really resentful. It's like, no, but I've been taking care of them and now they don't pay attention to me. And you're like, yeah, well, that happens. So I think it's very important that we understand that in our journey towards unconditional self-worth and towards worthiness and self-actualization, it is important to know the motivator behind those loving behaviors that sometimes can be a little bit excessive. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I choosing this person's well-being above mine? What is that saying about me and how I view myself? When we start new relationships, that's very common. Like, especially like as teenagers, remember when we're like 16 and you start dating someone and it's like all the time texting, all the time talking, all the time together, all the time. And we used to abandon our friends. Unfortunately, many adults don't live that behavior, and still in adulthood will abandon themselves and abandon their friendships, their hobbies, their nourishment when they are in a relationship or for other people. And that is just like a pathway to self-neglect,
Yeah, it's a pathway to destruction, I think.
Completely. I was talking to a friend a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about me being sick and everything that I have, like the lessons that I have learned from this really, really bad health crisis that I have been going through. Because even though I'm much better, I'm still not 100%. I'm actually far from it. I'm still dealing with a lot of pain at times, and so it's this thing. And she said, what is one thing that you have acknowledged with this? And to me, is how much I have been betraying myself. I betray myself every time that I'm tired, but I take one more client, or I'm tired, but I'll do one more social media post, or I'm tired, but I will continue with a long conversation on WhatsApp, or when I'm hungry, but I'll push half an hour more instead of stopping to eat, or I'm eating, but I'm eating like super fast so that I can go to the next thing. or that I prioritize even homeschooling above my own rest and my own mental care, you know? And I think that self-betrayal is perhaps the deepest wound we can get, because it is when you basically inform the world, I am worthless, therefore I deserve abuse. Because self-betrayal is I am abusing me.
I had that.
My mind or my heart.
Yeah. I have that at work. I'll give you an example. So the moment obviously when things were normal, or nowadays even, the moment I start working, I don't stop working until the end of the day. Yeah. My focus is on work. I don't think about drinking water. I don't think about eating food. I don't think about taking a break to look out the window. I don't think about myself. I think about the task, right? And that really is draining. After 5 days of doing that continuously, after 5 weeks, after 5 months of doing that continuously, you notice an effect it has on you and your relationship. Yeah. You're snappy. You don't want to talk to people. You're not happy. You know, blah blah blah.
You're drained. You're operating in empty. Yeah.
Exactly. And I remember when I was in my last company, there was this big initiative to ensure people did not eat at their desk. They didn't want people to go get their lunch, come back to their desk and eat and carry on working. No, they said to people, at lunchtime, we want you to leave the office and go and have your lunch in a park, or go and have your lunch somewhere where you can switch off and regenerate, respect yourself, you know? And that's one of the things I think in a relationship as well is often, and again, some people like doing things with their girlfriends, with their wives, with their partners, whatever. But I think it's really important that everybody has their own thing that they do for themselves, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. You know, you can have joint things to do, but every other person should have their own thing to do too. Yeah. So you have me time is important, I think.
And I think also, even if you share your thing sometimes with your partner, you don't have to abandon it and pass it on to your partner and be like, well, now this is what we do. You know, like, as for example, I do CrossFit. I would love the person that I am with to like to exercise and maybe train with me all the time. But that doesn't mean that I will only train if my partner trains with me. And suddenly they have to CrossFit with me. And because then it's like, what the hell? Like, maybe my partner doesn't like it, or maybe he will join me sometimes, but other times he has his own thing, you know?
But that's the thing, you don't have to, you don't have to do everything together. That CrossFit thing for you can be your thing. For him, it might be, I don't know, paintballing.
Water polo.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. No, seriously. Yeah, right?
I don't even know anyone that does water polo.
No, well, I mean, I do water polo. But the... I used to. And then the joint thing might be going for walks, having a hike, going cycling. Yeah. You know? And that time alone to yourself is time that you can think, time that you can breathe, time that you can sort of rejuvenate and re-energize, and all those kind of things that you can do mentally, and just bring everything back into perspective, because sometimes you're just so busy, you just can't refocus on the task, you know?
I have to say that one of the things that I realized that has been draining me a lot is that I am an ambivert. So I do get a lot from interaction with people and from socializing and stuff, but I also need alone time. And since we started with the lockdown, I really haven't had much alone time because the children are with me all the time. Otherwise, their dad is around, so my husband is around, and we're sharing their house. And then it's my nanny sometimes. And then, and I think being sick a couple of weeks ago or last week, I don't remember when I was in bed rest. Was it last week, right?
Last week, yeah.
Okay. So being in bed, and normally when I'm in the house, I'm in the common areas. I'm either in the office working, or I am in the family area, or even if I'm working, the kids might be coming in and out of my office, right? So I have my room where I am alone, but I don't spend a lot of time there because I don't like being alone that much. But during that week that I had to be on bed rest, I discovered that I was actually really happy being just me. And just kind of like thinking. No, I didn't even watch that much TV, but just being in my bedroom, which is lovely because I had taken care to make it nice, and just thinking and being like, wow, could be so nourishing. And I have to say that I totally recognize the way my disease happened and the way everything played was because I had been abusing my body. There has been a lot of physical abuse. I used to indulge in emotional abuse with myself. I used to call myself names. I used to have a lot of self-hatred and negative self-talk, which I don't do so much anymore. Thank God. I have done a lot of therapy and a lot of work to avoid that.
Good.
But I do now see that there are moments where I abuse my body, you know, where I don't sleep enough and still train hard, where I push my fast too long for what I'm doing, where I don't prioritize self-care in terms of rest and recovery. And now it took a really big scare for me to say, shit, if I don't start doing that, I'm gonna break. And you know, forget about needing gallbladder surgery. The markers in my blood were scarier than just gallbladder. They're showing levels of inflammation that could indicate something worse, right? So I think sometimes on this journey, we have to remind ourselves that even with the best intentions, it is a day-to-day thing. It is not just, oh, I took a bath today, so I'm fine for 3 weeks. I'm fine. I don't need to take care of myself. I'm cool. It is every day. It is drinking enough water. It is resting. It is switching off the phone before we go to bed so that we're not bombarded with these thoughts.
And not feeling guilty doing these things, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't feel guilty doing these things, because the fact that you have to worry about leaving your desk or leaving a meeting to go out to go get a glass of water or something, it's just like, oh God, I can't do it. I'm going to let somebody down. Bullshit. You know, you have to look after yourself. If your body needs something, go get it. I just one of the things that was worrying me at the time before I got married was one of the questions I got asked by my ex was, do you need alone time? And I was a bit confused, but it wasn't a kind of question which was, I mean, first of all, I didn't understand it. Why being asked that question? And I'm a big alone time person. That's where I do my best work, when I'm just alone and I think things through. And I remember at the time I used to do a bit of traveling before we were together. I used to travel to Dubai, like I said earlier. I used to go and do every little bit of traveling here and there. And it worried me that my friends were saying to me, "Oh, we're never going to see you again." You know. And I was like, hold on a second. Why does it have to be like that? Why can't we have one time in the year where we can all get together, just the boys or just the girls, you know? Or, old school friends.
Would you go with the boys or with the girls?
I'd go with just the girls and just the boys. That's not the point. The point is, you have friends, you have university friends, you have, old football team friends,
you
whatever.
Have a life. You have a whole life.
You have your whole life, exactly.
Yeah.
And that life needs to be respected. It's not something which is somebody will have to compete with or whatever.
Yeah.
But you need to keep those friendships going, because those are the things that made you happy, made you, kept you alive. If you cut all that out of your life, you're going to start feeling suffocated, so.
Completely. I completely agree. I feel that so much. To me also, obviously, because I have children, right? So I see a lot of parents abandon themselves to their kids, which is super not me. I am very boundary actually with my time and stuff. Like I do, my kids are used to seeing me meditate and doing things like that for me. I don't necessarily engage 24/7 with them. I do a lot, but I also take a lot of time not being their mom. And moving forward, like when you start a relationship as a single partner, as a divorced parent, you're like, okay, but there are children also, like maybe when I was 22, I could have done all this, all the, let's just become obsessed with each other situation. But at 34, mother of two, things change. And I think also it's very important to remind ourselves that when we abandon ourselves, our needs, our dreams, our goals for another person, whether that is a partner, like a romantic partner, or a friend or a group of friends, we are abandoning ourselves. There's a part of us that we are throwing out, How many times do we see situations where someone wanted to do something important for them, and because either their partner or their group of friends says that was silly or that was dumb, they stop pursuing it, And that is really sad, because that basically means I value others more than I value myself. And how am I going to be able to value you really if I keep on abandoning on me all the time. You know, it is really complex. And again, self-betrayal is the deepest form of abuse we will ever experience.
Right, here's a question for you. What one thing do you enjoy the most when you want to have a bit of time to think? What do you do?
One of two things. If I'm feeling heavy, like emotionally heavy, it will be journaling.
Okay.
If I'm feeling creative, it could be either just putting music and thinking, like seriously just thinking, or maybe doing doodles or coloring, doing something to occupy my hand while my brain is at work. How about you?
Mine always involves a view. So something with an amazing view that allows me to sit there and just look at it for hours and just get lost in it.
Well, you're lucky because you live in a very tall building, so you can do that.
I live on the 13th floor.
I live in a house.
It's 63 floors, this building.
You know, one thing that I have been using a lot to process, cycling. When I go to my daily cycles, when I was going to my daily cycles, that hour of cycling would be the moment where because I will have my phone, my music, and I'm moving, but when you're cycling, it's not the same to me as when I'm running, because when I'm running, I'm struggling. So I cannot process because the pain in my body is so much and I hate it so much. And I'm like, I just want this hair. And when I'm lifting, I am very in the moment with my lift because I don't want to hurt myself.
Sure.
But when I'm cycling, there is a rhythm in the cycle. So I'm moving and there's a rhythm, but I'm not necessarily paying attention because I cycle in a cycling track. So there's not like I'm in the woods and I have to pay attention for a rock or something. So in those moments, I did notice that I began to process a lot of things. In fact, I will be cycling every morning, and every morning I will have like an insight, like something that had been bothering me will click, or maybe I was processing a discussion that I had with someone or a conversation, and I will have like an aha moment. So I do miss and enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I had this thing again when we were flying. I had this spot in Istanbul where I'd go and sit on the Bosphorus. It was literally one table or a two-person table, coffee shop table, and they'd be like, I don't know if you've been to Istanbul, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I went last year. Yeah.
So you have the Bosphorus view. You just have the water there. You put your legs up and you just sit there for hours. And one of the things that I tend to do is I try to take a snapshot of where I am in life, and I start thinking about where did I see myself going, and what decisions have I made to lead me there, and then where am I going now? So am I on the right track or not, etc. These kind of times when you sit alone with yourself and think are very powerful. You know, it's like a recharging moment for you.
Yes.
It helps you focus on the things that you need to do on a daily basis. So, and that's part of the whole self-care, self-healing process, etc. So,
when I was a teenager and I used to swim pretty consistently, I never competed greatly, but I used to compete in like small things. But I used to also process a lot when I was swimming. So swimming, because I was a good swimmer back then, didn't feel so strenuous. So I could be moving. And you get into this rhythm, and I will remember that I will process a lot in the water. Still now, if I'm in the water alone and I can just float, I will deal with a lot of stuff. I used to, when I moved here in Qatar originally, and I worked for oil and gas, I used to do that when I was driving to Ras Al because it was such a long drive every day that I would just kind of like think things through. I do think that there's one of the issues that we have with social media and with the amount of screen time that we are investing in and the level of busyness that we have in today's world is that we don't leave a lot of space and time for self-reflection.
Yeah, contemplation and self-reflection. Yeah, 100%. It's like, I think it's compulsory. I mean, it's not even like optional. Everybody has to do it. And people do it naturally, but they don't give it enough let's say, time, you know?
Yeah.
And that's key. It's key for sure.
That's one of the reasons why I like journaling, because sometimes if you don't have physically a space or an activity that allows you to get your mind there, through journaling, you kind of like force yourself to go through whatever is happening there that needs to be addressed. So, and I have to say that for all of you guys listening to this or watching us, and you're feeling that your relationship has taken over every space and place of your life, you need to start by reminding yourself that you enable that. So instead of blaming the others from taking all the space, the question for me would be, how did I allow this? How did I abandon myself? What decisions did I make in the past that created a situation where I had to choose between taking care of myself and loving this person, loving this group of friends, or committing to this activity or something? Because a lot of the times when you uncover that, when you're like, oh yeah, I remember we started dating. Let's say that it's a romantic thing. So we started dating, and then this happened, and then I gave this, and then this happened, and I gave that, and then you can backtrack, and then you can start making reparations. Because the first thing is to apologize to yourself, and I always say that to my clients. The first apology has to go within. So it has to be like, hey, I'm sorry, dear you, dear me. I'm sorry because I have neglected you, I haven't been taking good care of you. Like, that was the first conversation I had with myself when I was out of the bed, was I'm sorry. I took you for granted. I did not take good care of you. I did not feed you well. I did not give you enough rest. And I'm sorry because you deserve better. And I promise moving forward that that's going to change. And it is changing. And then it's because an apology without changed behavior is just manipulation. So first you apologize with yourself and you
take
see
action.
And then you take action, exactly. And the action could be setting boundaries, like with the apology that I said, or even talking to people, being like, hey, I know that I commit to do this with you guys, but I realize that I'm giving too much time to other stuff and I need to focus on my goals. I need to refocus on myself. And then do that, if you notice that there is a way in which you are self-betraying because of whatever reason, and you notice, you apologize, and then you change. How can I commit to self-care today? Where am I going to stretch to nourish myself? Set boundaries. The people that love you are going to celebrate the boundaries. At the beginning, they might resist them, but eventually they're going to celebrate them.
I remember I had that.
Your boundaries are about you being well, and they want you well because they love you.
I had that when I was coaching. When I started out coaching at 17, I had this goal to like coach at the highest level, and I still have this goal. But I've had to sort of come to the realization that being an engineer, a full-time engineer, and a swimming coach at the same time is difficult. If you want to achieve the best, the quickest way possible, you have to focus all your time to that thing. So I'm doing it on the side. But the point is, when I was doing my coaching, I said I want to get to the highest point, and in order for me to do that, I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's all about me needing to get to that goal. And that's not considering anything else around me, not considering my family, not considering my friends, not considering this. And every so often, I've had to stop and say, hold on a second. People haven't seen me for about 6 months. Okay. Yeah. People are not calling me anymore. And I'm starting to feel that, or they're starting to get upset.
More than people, it's about you.
Yeah.
How
I'm starting to feel
it. With that?
Yeah, exactly. I'm starting to feel it. And every so often, I think you just need to take stock of where you are, where you're trying to get to, and then the things around you as well, because don't leave everything behind. You need to have that going with you wherever you go, and that helps you stay nourished as a human being. And
completely. To me is, I've been building a business for a while now. So obviously not now, but before all this lockdown, COVID and stuff, whenever I got invited to an event or something, I will ask myself, so is this event Am I going because I want to be there, because it's going to be social and I do enjoy that? Am I going because it's going to push my business? Or am I going because I feel that I have to? And if the answer was because I feel that I have to, I will not go. And I will be very honest with the organizers. I'll be like, you know what, I'm not going to make it because I have these priorities, you know, and again, like I'm a busy mom of 2. So if I don't prioritize super well my time, I'm burned. I'm burnt out, you know, like you have seen my life.
And you'll miss out.
So,
you'll miss out. You'll miss things. You'll miss things out.
Exactly. And then I will be always regretting something. So you regret the event that you missed or the party that you missed. You regret the smile on your child's face that you missed. You regret the moments that you didn't rest. So it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't. So you might as well be mindful about where you're putting your time and your energy
100%.
So that it goes to nourish those things that matter to you, which are your goals, your career, your dreams, your family, your partnership. I mean, for some people at some moments of time, the priority is going to be their romantic partner, and that's okay.
And
as long as they're doing it for their own enjoyment, you know, it's like, listen, I met this person and I want to prioritize in building something beautiful because this person means the world to me. Good. Do that, but do that for you, not for the other person, but for you.
But being mindful, again, being mindful requires its own respect and time, right?
Yeah.
And giving yourself that time to figure out where you are and yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting topic. Yeah. We can talk about this like all day.
We tend to be able to do that with most topics, Hatz. And we're very good at that.
Yeah. So, but you know.
No, but I think wrapping up the call is to remind ourselves that self-care is self-love in action, and that in order for you to really move out of whatever funk you are or reach the next level that you're aiming to go, you have to stop self-betrayal. You have to remind ourselves that it is not by exhausting yourself that you're going to get to the next level, but by nourishing yourself. And if you want to demand more from you, you have to give yourself more. I always say to my clients, in moments where you are going to be asking more from your body or your mind or your emotions, you need to give more to your body, your mind, or your emotions. So for example, if you are an athlete and you're going to be competing, that's not a good time to cut your meal. That's when you have to focus the most on your nutrition. The same thing happened to all of us. So if I'm entering a period that is going to be stressful or I'm facing a big challenge, that is the time that self-care and self-love have to be the utmost priority so that we can actually meet the challenge and you know, get to that level that we want to reach.
Yeah, you've wrapped it up beautifully. What can I say?
Wrap it up with a cup.
Wrapped it up beautifully. Yeah. No, I agree. And that's the journey I'm on at the moment, is the journey of self-care. And I'm focusing all my energies on that because that's what I need right now.
Yeah.
In order for me
and what
to
you deserve.
Yeah, and then in order for me to move on to the next step in my career, or whether I decide to leave engineering and go into coaching, or whether I decide to go back to university, whenever I get to the point where I come to that decision, I need to be the best person that I can be so I can make that decision with a clearer mind, you know?
And also very important is that as you're doing this and you are embodying your best self, you are also raising the bar for whomever is going to come into your life, both as a friend, but also as a potential life partner. Because when you set the bar high on self-love, you don't take crumbs from anyone, you know? Like that's a journey. You wanna find a soulmate, be your own soulmate, you know? Like that has been my journey for the last 1.5 to 2 years, is how can I love myself the way I want to be loved? You know, how can I give myself the care, the tenderness, the attention, the support that I seek in another person first, so that then I can recognize that in another human, you know? And it is a beautiful journey, but it demands that you are fully committed to it. You cannot go half-assed in it.
I'll tell you what, cycling up a hill or doing 70-kilometer cycles is not a beautiful journey for the legs. It's painful as hell.
Are you doing that with your machine, the machine that you put the bicycle on?
Yeah, it's an indoor trainer, and the guys at the Tri Club Doha, they meet up like every Friday morning and do a 2-hour cycle. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. I'll join you guys. And I've been doing it. To be fair, I've done the last month every Friday, and it's painful. But you got to push through that barrier and just got to keep going.
I am ridiculously proud of you, Hattie. Like I am, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. I am so happy to hear that, because this is the person that I met. This is the guy that talked to me about a podcast and that convinced me to do this. And yeah, you're back. You're coming back to us. Come on, homecoming. Woo, 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 woo. I love it. I'm so happy. I'm so proud.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually very excited because tomorrow I'm gonna go for a little cycle. I'm gonna do some yoga. And hopefully Friday is going to be my first day training.
Inshallah.
And inshallah, by next week, I will start being me more and more and more and more and more. It's hard. It has been really hard, but it is a beautiful journey.
It is indeed.
Thank you so much for listening, for watching. As always, please make sure that you share, you like, you tag people. You let us know your thoughts, and remember that you can always email us to podcast@theselfworthcoach.online with your questions, your ideas for future episodes, and all the things so that we can continue doing this for you and serve you better. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye.